Today's episode is brought to you by the Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. Find out more at canbyfoursquare.com or on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11 a.m. Welcome to the Canby Now podcast,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports?
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal if they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
I'm with an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Dang, that is a lot of fruit. An application set to go before the Canby Planning Commission next week is asking for approval to construct a 91,319 square foot produce distribution facility, which would include cooler storage, conditioned warehouse staging and loading areas, and office space. The applicant is Caruso Produce, a family-owned wholesale produce distributor known for providing some of the freshest and highest quality fruits and vegetables to stores throughout Oregon and Washington. Caruso is currently based in Tualatin, but has outgrown their current digs and is seeking to relocate the entirety of their operations to a new, state-of-the-art facility in Canby. The project site is on a 9.6-acre portion of an existing 14.2-acre property located across Walnut Street from Dragonberry Produce in the Canby Industrial Park. Southeast 4th Avenue, which is not fully developed, forms the property's border to the south, and the developer would be responsible for some of the improvements to this road if their project is approved. The property is currently being farmed for nursery stock as part of the operations for Willamette Seedling. Other than that, it is currently vacant with no existing buildings or other structures. The facility is intended to operate 24 hours a day and employ approximately 70 employees divided among 3 shifts. Their plans include 30 loading berths and 96 parking spaces, which is more than twice what the facility actually needs, but is included to meet city standards. Access to the property will be from Walnut Street and on the future alignment of Southeast 4th Avenue. According to a draft traffic impact study, the project would generate an estimated 185 new daily trips, less than a third of which, 31%, would be truck traffic. The trips would be staggered as much as possible to avoid rush hour, with only 20 or fewer trips anticipated during peak AM or PM hours. Caruso Produce was founded by the Caruso family in 1945 and grew into one of the region's top wholesalers under the second generation, with president and owner Joe Caruso. 5 years ago, Joe passed the reins to his son Sam Caruso, who continues to run things to this day. The public hearing on the proposed Caruso Produce facility in Canby will be held before the City Planning Commission at 7 p.m. Monday, January 13th, in the new City Council chambers. Of the some 34 million total overnight stays in Oregon each year, only 16% of those happen in the Willamette Valley. However, when you narrow the focus to bike enthusiasts, the majority of overnight stays are attracted to the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway, which draws almost twice as many cyclists as the next most popular bikeway. A 134-mile stretch from the Armitage County Park just outside Eugene all the way to Shampooey State Park Heritage Area, hitting many quaint little towns along the way. Canby is not one of them, but that may not always be the case. A desire to potentially connect with the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway is one of the motivations behind the planned development and expansion of the Molalla Forest Road Trail, which was recently given a boost in the form of a $35,000 regional tourism grant from Clackamas County. Supporters of the project have an ambitious vision for what the Molalla Forest Road Trail could become. They believe it has the potential to be a recreation destination for not only cyclists, but also hikers, kayakers, and equestrians. Like the Scenic Bikeway, the MFR closely intertwines with much of the area's heritage and culture. It was designed as a logging road, one that extended 50 miles from the Table Rock Wilderness all the way to the banks of the Willamette River north of Canby, where raw timber would be floated down to the mills at Willamette Falls for processing. The MFR path allows visitors to see and experience the resources so sought by the indigenous peoples and the pioneers, as it allows access along the Willamette and Molalla rivers, travels through fertile farmlands, finally ascending into the forested mountains. The city said in its successful grant application, adding, it also has the potential to be a key link in eventually connecting to the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway through Molalla River State Park. A master plan exists for the development of the MFR, one first championed in 1994 by then State Representative, now U.S. Congressman, Kurt Schrader. The earlier plans ran into trouble with lands that were privately owned and being used commercially. One of these major barriers was removed in December 2017 by the Traverso family's generous donation of 81.4 acres of land, including 3.3 miles of the Molalla Forest Road Trail. Creating a plan for clearing and developing this section of the MFR trail is one of the main goals of the $35,000 grant project, but plenty of challenges remain on the horizon. Concerns of adjacent landowners need to be heard and addressed, the city admitted in their grant application. Additionally, ownership, easements, and rights of way are a complicated puzzle along the MFR that needs to be dissected by a qualified contractor with help from the city planning staff who have dedicated time to this project. With letters of support from the Canby Bicycle and Pedestrian Citizen Advisory Committee, Canby Heritage and Landmark Commission, and Willamette Falls and Landings Heritage Area Coalition, the grant was approved for the full amount requested. The next steps involve issuing a request for proposal and selecting a consultant to lead the project. Looking for something fun to do locally in 2020? Well, alpaca your bags and pack over to the Alpacas at Markham Hill Ranch in Molalla, which was named the state's top fan favorite destination for 2020 by Oregon Business Magazine last month. The Portland-based media firm Media America, which publishes Oregon Business, analyzed over 95,000 online reviews to determine the best destinations in Oregon based on customer satisfaction, and found the national award-winning alpaca breeders to be the best game in town. The Alpaca Ranch was started by Bill and Jennifer Cameron as a hobby over a decade ago, but it soon grew into something much more. Their property now includes 18 acres and more than 80 alpacas? Who knows? The ranch has won numerous awards for their animals' breeding and the quality of their fleece. You can check them out online at mhralpacas.com. Several other attractions made the list of the 100 best, including Canby's Swan Island Dahlias, which came in at number 18, a bit of a drop-off from last year when it ranked 4th in the state, but still impressive. There's the Woodburn Wooden Shoe Tulip Farm at 64, and Oregon City's End of the Oregon Trail Interpretive and Visitor Information Center, which squeaked in at number 95. This was the 4th year that Media America researchers undertook such a project, and they say they analyzed almost twice as many online reviews as they had the previous year, using sites such as Google, TripAdvisor, and Yelp. I continue to be amazed at the high level of customer satisfaction many of these destinations deliver year after year, said Andrew Insignia, CEO of Media America, and the average number of reviews per destination continues to grow, proving this is something worth paying attention to. Those who made the top 100 will be featured in magazines such as Oregon Business and Oregon Home, and will also appear on maps that will be printed and distributed across the state for residents and visitors. Hey, if you are prohibited from possessing firearms because of a felony criminal record, it's probably a good idea not to appear in a popular YouTube video handling illegal firearms. That's a lesson that was learned this week by 3 Portland men who have been charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by the U.S. Attorney's Office for Oregon. They are Christopher Eugene Miller, 28, Kebron Larry Jones, 27, and Desmond Boris Washington, 34. All three are convicted felons not permitted to possess firearms, and all three have been charged with unlawfully possessing a stolen Taurus PT 845, which is a .45 caliber handgun. Agents recovered the stolen firearm while executing a search warrant on Washington's Portland residence. The music video remains publicly available on YouTube and allegedly shows all three defendants handling illegal weapons. The video was for the song This Life by Kansas City, Missouri rapper Young Cat. The artist later posted about the incidents on Instagram, asserting that the guns seen in the video were props, not real firearms. "These are props," he said. "I'm an artist, a rapper, an actor. I got over 10 movies using props. I repeat, props. Leave me alone. Thank you." Facepalm emoji, facepalm emoji. All three have been arraigned and are awaiting trial. Washington's is scheduled to begin first in early March. This case was investigated by Homeland Security Investigations and is being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Oregon.
Police Beat. This is 2 weeks of full Police Beat, so November 13th through the 25th. Holy cow. Here we go. At 6:39 a.m., report of a theft of items from a parked vehicle. Good old classic Canby. At 9:20 p.m., report of a theft of items stolen from an unlocked parked vehicle. At 11:45 p.m., following a traffic stop, the suspended driver's vehicle was impounded and she was cited. On November 14th at 10:20 p.m., a traffic stop was conducted on an unregistered vehicle. The uninsured driver was arrested for possession of, guess what? Methamphetamine. Woo! A runaway juvenile was located and taken into protective custody on November 15th. As well, at 8:20 a.m., officers were called to assist a neighboring city. To assist a neighboring city with an active shooter incident at a workplace. Oh man, that sucks. At 3 p.m., a store employee turned in methamphetamine to police after finding it on the floor of the store. So, if you've recently lost your meth, good news! You've won a free trip. Just talk to Canby PD. At 3:18 p.m., a broken BB gun was turned into police for destruction. The only place that broken BB guns deserve to be. At 10:25 p.m., an unknown person called a takeout restaurant and placed a large order of food and provided a false address. Wow, that sucks. Maybe they're just trying to, get their neighbors to eat. We don't know. I don't know. November 17th at 9:31 p.m., following a report of a suspicious person, the suspect was contacted and arrested for an outstanding Multnomah County warrant and for felon in possession of restricted weapon, possession of methamphetamine, and identity theft. On November 18th at 8:09 p.m., officers located a suspect vehicle that the witnesses reported had been swerving into oncoming traffic. They arrested the driver for DUI, alcohol, and reckless driving. On November 19th at 12:23 p.m., an officer responded to a residence where a person had passed away. 5:56 p.m., officers responded to a theft in progress call. After a foot pursuit, the two suspects were taken into custody. On November 20th at 11:09 p.m., when an officer attempted to stop a man riding on a bicycle after dark without proper lighting, he briefly stopped and then suddenly fled. Oh my gosh. Following a vehicle and subsequent foot pursuit, the combative man was arrested for criminal mischief, carrying a concealed weapon, disorderly contact, and it's Canby. So, also possession of methamphetamine. On November 22nd at 3:40 a.m., a traffic stop was conducted on a vehicle for failing to drive within its lane, and the driver was subsequently arrested for DUI alcohol, and the passenger was cited for a minor in possession of alcohol. On November 23rd at 10:27 p.m., following a traffic stop, the driver was arrested for DUI, alcohol, and reckless endangering several minor passengers. On November 24th at 1:30 a.m., after witnessing suspicious driving behavior, a traffic stop was conducted and the driver was arrested for theft of a vehicle, unlawful entry into a motor vehicle, giving false information to a police officer, and failure to carry or present a driver's license, which, it all kind of makes sense. Why would he? Never mind. But Yeah, terrible. Don't steal people's cars, dude. At 7:55 a.m., officers responded to a report of a large... Oh, I'm sorry. I read that completely wrong. Officers responded to a report of a dog at large. And then they returned the dog to its owner. So that's nice. Canby now can, chill on the lost dogs thing for just one evening. On November 25th at 6:52 p.m., 2 adults were arrested for theft after they stole a cart of miscellaneous items from a grocery store. And at 10:42 p.m., a woman was cited for criminal mischief after she yelled at a neighbor about their dog. And then she broke their window when she knocked on the glass with her hand super hard. It says here she knocked hardly on it with her hand, but I feel like that phrasing makes it sound like I hardly knocked on it, which she would also be admitting to. You know what? That was the end, so I'm done now. More than 1.2 million Americans receive internet, TV, and telephone services from community cooperatives like Direct Link. They believe that their role revolves around partnerships, whether sponsoring a local event, hosting educational classes, or investing in fiber internet technology. Direct Link is here for our community because they are a part of our community.
Beyond just working in Canby, most of Direct Link's employees live here as well. Direct Link's investment in the local area reaches past business interests and extends into the everyday lives of neighbors, friends, and families. Visit them online at directlink.coop to learn more about their communication services and community activities.
We'd like to extend our undying gratitude to Canby Now Plus member Catherine Lindberg. We rely on your monthly contributions to continue to do this work that we love. To find out how you can become one of the coolest people in the world, one of our supporters on Patreon, visit cambynowpod.com/plus.
My guest on the Canby Conversation today is someone whose history with me, or at least my wife, goes way back. Her name is Pam Wilson. She's a resident here in Canby, and she actually delivered my wife when she was born.
Yes, I did. Yes, I've known Joelle's mother for many, many years. I met my husband through Karen.
Oh, really?
So,
I don't know if I knew that. Okay. But you guys were nurses together at Willamette Falls, and you were a nurse in the maternity ward that night, and the doctor just didn't quite get there in time. So is that the story?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, but we are talking today about more about your family than my family. So it's the playoffs for the NFL. And a lot of folks are talking about it. The NFL is obviously super popular, but this weekend there are a couple of games, Pam, that you'll be watching a little bit more closely than most, and it's not because you're a diehard fan of those teams or of sports in general. Is that right?
That's correct. I am not a huge football fan. I am a huge nephew fan, I like to say.
Yeah.
I have a nephew in the Vikings and one playing for the Seahawks.
Right. So 2 brothers, Eric Kendricks, the younger brother for the Vikings, who was just named first team All-Pro this year, which is pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
And Mychal Kendricks for the Seahawks, and won a Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was playing for the Eagles at the time he won the Super Bowl.
Right. So, and both linebackers.
Yes.
So, and unfortunately, Mychal is hurt, right? So he's out for the playoffs.
Yes, he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So he's out for the rest of the season, but still got to root for the Hawks.
Yeah. Well, let's start with talking a little bit about them and their mom, your sister, because, nephew, like we all, kind of have nephews and stuff, but I mean, you're extremely close with them.
I am, especially probably Mychal, although I love them both. My sister was raised here in Canby.
Right, Canby High grad, I believe. Yep.
Yes, she graduated from Canby. She still has lots of friends here. She moved down to California about 30 years ago or so. 32 years ago. Yeah, Yvonne. Mm-hmm. And started her family down there. But especially after my mom passed away about 30 years ago, she and I became very close. And she was expecting Mychal at the time. And so I've just made a point of going to California, down to Fresno frequently to see her and the kids and being a part of their lives. And been a joy to watch them grow up, play high school football, and then on to college and now the pros. Thought they were going to be soccer players for a long time. They didn't get into football until they were in high school.
They grew up playing soccer, you said?
Yeah, through grade school, they were on a city-wide traveling team. They used to go out into other cities and play soccer, and wasn't until Mychal got to be a freshman in high school that he started playing football, even though his father was a football player.
Oh, okay.
Had played in the Canadian League. He never played U.S. NFL football.
Okay.
But he did. He was actually a linebacker at UCLA. And played in Canadian football.
Yeah. But that's interesting for them to make it to the big leagues, to the NFL, and not really start playing football until that late in life. I guess that just speaks to their incredible athleticism.
Yeah, I remember when Mychal was like 4 years old, he could throw a football, a full-size football. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, they definitely both have a natural talent.
Yeah. And I've seen some pictures with you. I haven't met them, but I've seen some pictures with you and them, and they're just, they're big boys.
Yeah, they make me look small, and that's quite a feat.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about kind of their personalities. I gather, certainly myself and probably most of the folks listening don't know too many professional athletes. So what are your nephews like?
They are nice young men. They've always had very thoughtful, kind things. Mychal is a very kind-hearted and will think with his heart first. Eric tends to be a little bit more streetwise, but also very kind. They both put on what they call Camp Kendricks in the summer down in Fresno for underprivileged kids football camp. So they like to give back. They have purchased their mother a home and take care of her. They're just good people. I'm real proud of them in that sense. Far more proud of them in that sense than I am in the football. They're just really, really nice people.
Sure. Is that surprising to people? Maybe that's a little surprising to me, especially NFL player in general, but especially like a linebacker. Like, you think that they'd have sort of that more like killer attitude and, really be the tough guys on the field and stuff like that. And maybe they have a different persona, that they cultivate when they're playing, and that's just, something they do to excel in their sport or something.
Well, I've heard Mychal say, it's his job. It's what he does, and he loves his job. But that's not who he is.
Gotcha.
And,
interesting.
I know he's had both have had an estranged relationship with their father. He was not involved in their lives when they were young. They do have a relationship with him, but kind of a cautious one. And Mychal has told me, all Dad wants to talk about is football. I'm so much more than football.
Yeah.
And I think if you think of it that way, of course they're going to be different on the field because that's their job. Mychal, as a child, literally wouldn't hurt a fly had a fit when Eric did. But Eric has always been a little mischievous one. He's always had that little glint in his eye.
Did he?
But still very, very kind.
That's a little brother thing, I think.
Oh, I think so.
I think all little brothers come out with that pesky streak.
Well, they have to. It's survival.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is they're both each other's biggest fan. Eric just thinks Mychal's the best football player and the best big brother, and Mychal thinks Eric is, the best football player. So it's funny, though. They were asked one time in an interview who was Mom's favorite. They looked at each other and went, I don't think Mom had a favorite.
Yeah.
So, she did a good job there. She was strict with them, but fair.
That's good. That's good that was a funny moment. That's one of those questions that can go a little sideways as well. So,
Okay.
Cool. Were they close growing up?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
They were very close. They shared a lot of friends. They each had their own friends, but they were very close growing up. I think they're they're a year apart in school, but 2 years apart in the pros because Eric was redshirted. But they were always doing things together.
Yeah. Did you or especially maybe their mom sort of have mixed feelings, or maybe not necessarily want them to go into professional sports because of that kind of estrangement you mentioned with their father and him being a professional athlete, or was it just kind of supporting them however in their dreams and what they wanted? She saw the talent, especially like I said, since they didn't pick it up until they were in high school and they were good. She supported them in that. She was a single mom with 3 kids and made sure they got to all the camps and all the trainings that they needed to get to. She told them that their job in high school was to play football because that's how she was going to pay for college. And if they wanted to do anything with it after college, that was all gravy and totally up to them. Cool.
And so she felt like if she could get them to college on a scholarship, then that was more important. So
cool.
she, as she says, this has all been gravy. She loves football, so she watches football all the time. So this is fun for her, although it gets so hard when they play each other.
Okay. So let's talk about that because that happened in the playoffs. There's a chance it could happen this year as well. It'll be a tough road to get there, and unfortunately, like we've mentioned, Michael's injured. But that happened last year, right?
Year before last.
Year before in the playoffs, they played each other for the chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Yes, they did. That was. The Eagles were not expected to win. I just wanted the game to be close, so they both could feel like they had played well. But the Eagles really kind of creamed the Vikings.
Yeah, it wasn't very close.
It wasn't very close. And I remember,
that was the Eagles' year, though. That they went on to win the Super Bowl.
The Eagles' year, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. But I remember watching the game and thinking, "Oh my goodness, one of my nephews is going to the Super Bowl."
Right? Yeah. Like no matter what happens, that's guaranteed. That's such a cool feeling.
Yeah, it was bittersweet because one has to lose for the other to win.
Yeah. So, what happened after the game? Did you get to? I assume obviously you got a chance to talk to both nephews, kind of how they were feeling, especially with them being so close, and that same feeling, like being elated to go to the Super Bowl, but hating that your brother's not able to go.
Yeah. Well, that year, the Super Bowl was in Minnesota, and so Eric's home turf.
Yeah.
And Mychal called and asked if I would like to go to the Super Bowl, and I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
And met my sister in the airport. We flew.
What did they call you? Did they just call you Aunt Pam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they met you at the airport?
Yvonne met me at the airport.
Okay. Yeah.
And she and I made it to Eric's house. We stayed with Eric and, went to some of the pre-game events. That was fun. Eric came with us the night it was family fun night at Hard Rock Cafe at the Mall of America.
Okay.
And, that was fun. He did not go to the Super Bowl though.
Oh, okay.
It was hard for him to go to the Super Bowl. He did come to the after party, but he didn't come to the game. He just felt like he couldn't do that. It was hard. So,
yeah, sure.
But very proud of his brother, but was really disappointed.
Yeah, I bet.
But we had a great time. We had fun. I can tell a story on myself at the Mall of America. They had closed down the amusement park for the party, so that just the party goers, the Eagles fans and family could
cut loose a little bit
to it. Yeah. So we went on this roller coaster, and I'm a big roller coaster fan, and so is my sister. Eric is not. He gets sick on roller coasters, so Mychal was with me and one of his friend Marvin. And it's a roller coaster where 4 people sit facing each other. And we went through corkscrews and upside down and all this stuff. And right at the very end, there was this like 90-degree turn with spinning involved. And I wear a wig. And my wig went flying one direction, and I went the other.
Oh, no.
Mychal was mortified for me. I just laughed. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But I texted my husband at home and said, well, honey, it finally happened. I flipped my wig. So we did find it, and everything was fine. But Mychal grabbed the beanie off his head and put it on me. And, hey, Pam, are you okay? And no, honey, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But it was funny.
Yeah, it's cute how they seem to be so protective of you.
They are. Yeah. Well, I generally text the boys after each game. And so I try to keep in touch with them that way.
Yeah.
So Mychal isn't always the best about texting back right away. He may take a few days, but Eric almost always texts back right away.
Does he? Okay.
So he's real pumped for the game on Saturday with the 49ers.
Yeah.
And
so that's coming up here, and that's kind of what I was talking about, the tough road. Hopefully it'd be awesome for Eric to make it to his Super Bowl. They played last week in the wild card the Saints, who were the 3rd seed, and that was an upset. But they're going to have to do another one to get there over the 49ers. That's going to be kind of a tough team.
The year the Eagles made it, they were the underdog too. So
yeah.
The rest of the season really doesn't matter at this point. It's one game at a time.
Right, right. That's true. Yeah. And so what kind of stuff has Eric been texting you or saying in the run-up to this big game, maybe one of the biggest of his career?
He is at a high point. He was disappointed not to make the Pro Bowl.
Right.
The Pro Team is a whole different. But he has always, and he has said this, always been kind of overlooked. He didn't make All-American team, and first row in UCLA, but he got the Butkus Awards for being the top linebacker in the country. So he gets recognition from some areas and not the other. Yeah. And he says, I just have to play harder when I'm the underdog, so it's okay.
I even saw that in the story about his, being named first team All-Pro, that people were talking about how that really is kind of weird and almost seemed like maybe the committee that awards those kind of noticed the oversight and were like, well, we got to make up for that, however we can or whatever. But
yeah, well, the Pro Bowl is more of a popularity contest.
Right.
And because people vote on it, and people can hire people to just sit there and vote for people.
Yeah.
I think if there was a cap on the number of times you could vote, and I don't know how they would regulate that, that would be one thing. But, if you've got an agent who's willing to sit down and, maybe pay somebody or somebody on staff to call and make calls, you have a better chance. I mean, yes, you have to be a good player.
Right.
But it's, I think, more meaningful, even if you don't get as much fanfare for the pro team.
Right.
So, yeah, he's real happy with that.
That's good. I wanted to ask you, Pam, so what was the Super Bowl like? You were there 2 years ago.
Oh, I always said I never knew it was on my bucket list, but it was fun. Yeah. Especially when it's the winning team.
Right. Yeah. Did you just go nuts or what?
Oh, my gosh, yes. We got to about just the end of the last couple of minutes of the game. They took those of us that had a pass down the corridor, and we were waiting for the end of the game. And then when they won, they had to set up a stage, and then we were allowed out on the field.
Yeah.
And so we were out there with the ticker tape going and all the players, and I got to hold the Lombard Trophy.
Did you?
What?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you got to hold it and you don't even know that it's the Lombardi Trophy.
Lombardi, that's what I meant.
That's so cool.
Back.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Did you kiss it?
No, there were so many germs all over that thing.
Yeah, probably.
I'm a nurse. I know.
You're a nurse.
Kids too, right?
True.
Yeah.
I should have known. Yeah.
But I did get a picture with Mychal with it. So.
Yeah. What was his reaction?
Oh, he was so moved. I was standing beside him. I know if you've seen pictures of the NFL, there's a picture of him kneeling down with his face to the ground. Because he's humbled, and I was standing, 2 feet next to him when that picture was taken. When somebody asked him, how does it feel to have made history, because it was the first time the Eagles ever won the Super Bowl, and he just about collapsed. He was just like, wow, I'm a part of this, and it was very moving for him.
Yeah, that's great.
And so it was fun to be there and share it with him.
Yeah. So, I would be remiss if I didn't give you the chance to, and I don't know if Eric and Mychal will listen to this, but would definitely feel remiss if I didn't give you a chance to tell an embarrassing story or two from their childhood. I understand you made Halloween costumes for them on several occasions? Or?
I would go down once and sometimes twice a year, and I took my sewing machine down with me one October and bought them sweatsuits, sweatpants and sweatshirts, and made it into Superman and Batman, and had their capes, and that picture has been on the NFL website, so it's fun. They were like, 3 and 4
so
at the time.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, we'll have to see if we can find that picture and share it with our listeners.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can find it. It's hanging on my wall. But,
love it.
Anyway, that was fun. But your kids always tell you things when you're older that you never knew they did when you were younger, and they were no different. They were explaining to their mom how they used to play commando with their friends in high school, sneaking through people's backyards and trying to capture the bad guy, whatever. And for those who don't know, these are big black boys. They're half black, half white, and most of their friends were mixed race, dark-skinned, and here they're calling through people's neighborhood. They could have been shot. My sister was mortified. She's going, oh my gosh, how did you ever survive your childhood?
Yeah. But, well, that kind of thing is probably more typical in California than it might be around Canby, so.
Well, hopefully that's,
Yeah.
But,
oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, it was. But it's one of those things you find out something your child has done, and it's like,
well, maybe having to run from an irate homeowner or two is where they got some of their athletic gifting from. So
maybe so, jumping those fences and
yeah, crawling and pushing gates open and all that stuff. So
oh my gosh, yeah,
absolutely. Well, okay, so I got the schedule up here. Got the Vikings playing first, right? They're on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and then Seahawks the following day, which a lot of, that's probably the big fan base around here. So do you talk to a lot of Seahawks fans, and they, do you get hit up for tickets quite a bit? Or?
Well, no, people are pretty respectful. I mean, they probably hint, oh, gee, I would love to go to a game with you sometime. Yeah.
Right. I was going to mention I would love... Oh, never mind.
Yeah. The boys buy the ticket. I mean, they do have to pay for the ticket.
Gotcha.
I don't just offer tickets to people, although if I told Mychal I wanted somebody to come, he'd let me do that. But I try to be mindful of that. I mean, I never would have asked him to take me to the Super Bowl. So that was such a wonderful surprise when he called and asked me to go.
That is really cool.
But it is fun to go to the games. We went to the game in December where they played each other, and like I said, it's always hard when they play each other.
Yeah. Fortunately, they're both on defense, so they're not playing, at the same time, at least. Yeah.
But what was nice about this year's game was it was the Thanksgiving weekend. And Mychal had invited us to come up for Thanksgiving. We weren't able to make it, but we went up on the Saturday before the game. It was a Monday night game. And got to spend Saturday evening with Mychal. And then we got to spend Sunday evening with Eric because he had flown in, the day before for the game. And then we got to see both of them after the game for a short while.
Cool.
So it was nice to really spend some good time with them and not just, because a lot of times you go to a game, all you see them is that
right on
a little
the field.
bit after the game after the game. We go down to the family area. But, so it was nice, especially for Brad. I
Your
travel
husband.
a lot and go with my sister to games, so I will see the boys more often than he does. So it was really good for him to get a good visit in with both of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any rituals or anything you do when you're watching the games at home? Like you this weekend, do you just dress all in purple when Eric's playing? Or
No, I just sit and root. So I don't know if God's a football fan, but I'll occasionally say, Lord, please let him win. He doesn't always listen, though.
Yeah.
But I like watching them play. They're respectful to their teammates, and they're respectful to the Lord. They both will kneel and pray at the beginning of the game. I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but there's a little kind of prayer huddle at the end of the game. And they both join in that. So at that particular game, Russell Wilson led the prayer team prayer meeting after the game, and they were both part of that. That for me as Aunt Pam.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know what your Bible says. Mine certainly says that God's a football fan, so I know it's in there somewhere. Maybe it's a special translation. But anyway, Pam, it has been such a delight to talk to you and hear more about Eric and Mychal. Thank you so much. Before you go, can I just ask one more thing? Can you give me a go Vikings and a go Seahawks?
Woo! Go Vikings! Go Hawks!
That was awesome. Thank you. That was even better than I would have hoped.
Well, I get sore throats when I watch the game. So.
I bet. Well, I'm glad we were able to grab you beforehand. So thank you, Pam. And good luck. Good luck to both the Kendricks boys.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I'm here at Advantage Mortgage with Derek Hill. And Derek, you were telling me about something that just came down from Fannie Mae that people might be interested in.
Yeah, Fannie Mae just came out with a report that said that the average homeowner in the United States has approximately 70% equity in their home.
Oh, wow.
Right. I mean, that's obviously average throughout the whole country, but because values have come up so substantially in the last 10 years, there is a ton of equity available that people can utilize.
Cool. So if people are potentially looking to buy or move into a new home, you're saying that equity means it might be something that you would look at remodeling instead of if the market's not looking favorable to you.
Right, 100%. Because the market in Portland is so tough to buy, we have an average of 2.5 months worth of inventory, so it's just super hard for people to find what they're looking for. It may be just easier for them to take out some equity and do the upgrades or do an addition or pay off some debt or lots of different things. And that's one of the things that we love to do with people is sit down with them and kind of go over a game plan. Cool. That's one of the biggest things is knowing what you can do, and we love taking the time to do that for people.
Awesome. And people can find you on your website or just give you a call?
They can go to findtheadvantage.com or call 266-5800, obviously 503 area code. And we love to chit-chat, and we have, 8 or 9 different loan officers here in the Canby office that would love to sit down with somebody and work with them.
Cool. Thanks, Derek.
So just remember, Derek Hill, NMLS number 50183, Advantage Mortgage, NMLS number 177059, equal housing opportunity.
All right. Well, you can hear by those festive sounds that I'm in a very special place. I'm actually at Los Dos Agaves here in Canby with Andrea Gonzalez. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
She's the daughter of one of the owners, Jose Luis. And you also work here. Are you a waitress or?
I'm a waitress.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, so your dad and his partner purchased the restaurant and changed the name about 3-4 months ago. Is that right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about kind of what their desire was to move here, or what interested them in this little spot?
Well, Jose Luis, my dad, just came from working for restaurants for many years.
Oh, really?
And
Cool.
Yeah. And then the other guy, his name is Angel.
Okay.
He's worked in restaurants. He has other restaurants as well. Mm-hmm. And so they both connected together and wanted to open a place, and they decided in Canby, since it's growing, it's a small town, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and then they saw potential in here.
Yeah. Well, so Los Dos Amigos, had a good reputation, I think. We've been here a few times. I think you guys changed the lighting up and kind of created a different ambiance in here.
We did the bar, we did the banquet room, we did the dining room, added salsa bars, started making fresh tortillas.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
everything got remodeled.
It's a little cooler, maybe a little more hip. If folks have been in here before, I think would be a little surprised. I love the lights. It's almost like a lava lamp, except it doesn't move.
Exactly, yeah. They brought them from Mexico. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, and a lot of the chairs in the bar as well.
Authentico.
Authentic, of course, yeah, got to.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the bar and the drink specials. I know that's a big thing that has been a lot of focus as far as kind of revamping that aspect of the restaurant.
So I believe before they didn't have a happy hour big enough, so we made a happy hour from 3 to 6 from Monday to Friday.
Okay.
And then the weekends it's going to be 12 to 6.
Okay.
And then every single time at 8 o'clock to close, we have happy hour again.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's pretty much like an all-day type of thing.
Yeah, nice. So it's like a happy 8 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And what kind of specials and stuff do you do
so
in
we
that time?
have, you buy a $5 purchase drink, and you get $5 plates, which include like taquitos, flautas, coconut shrimp, nachos, Mexican pizza, 3 steak tacos for $5. So I don't think you can beat that anywhere else. Yeah. What else do we got? Games will be playing. So like a Beaver game, an Oregon State game, or anything like that.
You got some basketball playing now. Yeah.
You get 15% off if you come in the bar and watch it.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. And what are some of the like drink specials or things that you guys do, like sort of specialty drinks or things that you're kind of known for?
So we're doing Cadillac margaritas are special. The pineapple jalapeno one is very popular.
Pineapple jalapeno? That sounds terrifying.
It's good though. It's sweet, but kind of a little bit of spicy, so it kind of blends in together.
Wow. Yeah, like super sweet and super spicy.
Yeah, so we're starting to work on new margaritas with a Corona in it.
Yeah.
So it's more of a kick into it.
Yeah.
Really
nice.
good. Yeah.
Nice. So you guys really seem like you lean into and really kind of embrace the authentic side, but in a way that obviously doesn't turn off non-Hispanics or whatnot. There's lots of us gringos here tonight, and I think that's pretty typical for you guys, yeah?
Yeah, it is. We do get filled with both, nations in here, and it's nice because everybody comes together, eats the same food, appreciates everything.
Cool. And we like to kind of try the authentic and try different things.
Oh,
so what are some of the specialty dishes you have in terms of food?
So food, our molcajete is a very popular one. It has grilled chicken, steak, shrimp, cactus.
Yeah, I would be afraid to order that because I would be afraid I couldn't pronounce it right. Say that again?
Molcajete.
Molcajete.
Molcajete mexicano.
Molcajete mexicanos.
Close there.
Close? Okay.
Molcajete. But
I just write it. I just write it down. Yeah. So tell me what it is.
And it comes in a rock stone, so it's really hot, and it comes with chicken.
In a stone.
A rock stone.
Okay.
Like a big one, and it's really good. Steak, chicken, shrimp, cactus, melted cheese on there, a big chunk of it.
So edible cactus.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could eat that.
You could.
Yeah.
We also have a spinach quesadilla. A nopal quesadilla, which is a cactus. Quesadilla. Really good.
Yeah, and a spinach quesadilla.
And a spinach quesadilla, of course, what else is popular is a lot of our carne asada.
What does cactus taste like?
Well, It's very
prickly.
hydrating. It's really good. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
super. It's not prickly since they grill it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Okay. It still has the spikes on it?
No.
Oh, okay. They take the
those
spikes
Yeah,
off.
of
Okay,
course.
that's nice. And hydrating is that?
It's good, yeah, because
it stores all the water.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Interesting. I'll have to try that.
You gotta try it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Cool.
What's another popular dish? I would say our filete veracruzano. So it's like it has shrimp, fish, scallops, a bunch of seafood in there, rice
Is
and
that
beans.
in the, like the big glass?
It's gonna come in a rock stone.
Oh, that's in a rock stone.
The one that comes in a glass is
I saw
the
somebody
shrimp
with
cocktail.
Okay, I saw somebody
That
with
one's really good as well.
Yeah. Cool. So, seafood is a specialty of your guys as well.
Seafood, the steak, the mole, everything.
Yeah.
They make it from scratch, and then our salsa bar, of course.
Yeah.
People try a bunch of sauces.
So, what's your dad's role? I kind of see him around. Is he back there cooking, or does he run
he's
around?
doing everything.
Okay, he just do it all.
Bossing all over. you know?
Yeah, cleaning the toilets.
Yeah, gotta do his job.
What's your favorite thing to eat here? Or what's your favorite thing here?
Favorite thing here. I always get the molcajete.
Okay.
It has a little bit of everything, so
Yeah.
it's like
I'm gonna have to try that.
I'll crave everything, so it's like shrimp, steak,
So you get it all.
everything to it.
Okay. Well, then you don't have to pick. If you just feel like everything, then yeah.
Everything. I'll take everything.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. It was really a pleasure to hear more about this cool, new-ish place here in town. And thanks and good luck to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Canby Then is brought to you by Retro Revival. They are not your average antique shop. They are open daily, and you can find them on the corner of Northwest 3rd and Grant Street in our very own downtown Canby. He was the elder statesman, the respected counselor, the distinguished jurist, the man that everyone trusted. Until he fled the town, the state, and the country one night with their money in his pockets. His name was Grant B. Dimmick, known to all as Judge Dimmick, or simply the Judge, because of his service as a county judge. Though the Canby Herald, in the colorful language of the day, remarked after his fall from grace that he, quote, had never been elected to a district judgeship or even a justice of the peace judgeship, so far as we know. His ties were deeper in neighboring Oregon City, where he had come to live and practice as a young attorney in the 1890s, but he was well known and beloved across the state, and certainly in Canby, where he had served as president of the Clackamas County Fair Association for many years. Indeed, as the Herald later noted, quote, he once told us with considerable bombast that he had been a president of the Fair Association ever since we had the fair. Dimmick had been an able and successful attorney. Once, during Prohibition, he successfully defended a Clackamas County farmer on whose land agents had found an illegal still. He admitted the still was on his client's property and even admitted that he used the still. But for what purpose? Dimmick argued that it was only to distill water to keep the farmer's steam-powered automobile in running order. The farmer walked free. Or maybe he drove. His practice, however, became of less importance as he slowly but steadily took on the stature of a leading citizen, businessman, and politician. He was elected president of 2 state banks and became head of the grandiose Willamette Valley Southern Railroad, which ran between Oregon City and Mount Angel. He served as mayor of Oregon City and vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. He even ran for governor, unsuccessfully. Quote, he liked to drink on occasion, but he was not a drinker, a reporter once wrote. He smoked cigars. He was married, but had no children. He was no ladies' man. Most of all, he enjoyed the company of men, and throughout Western Oregon, he had the reputation of being a storyteller of parts, a consummate raconteur. Far and away, the most important and criminal of his activities was as the financial wizard who would give you 8% interest on any amount of money you wisely gave him to invest. He would take your money and in return give you a personal note of security, guaranteeing the full sum. Along with that, you'd get a valuable mortgage on a farm or a city lot or acres of raw timber. The mortgages were executed on good paper, embellished with fine green and gold inks. In the words of the Oregonian, gilt-edged stuff. Those mortgages of Dimmick's, that's what everybody said. And the interest checks came right on time twice a year, and it was never so much as 1 penny short of 8%. The banks couldn't give you 8% interest, but Judge Dimmick could. His customers were railroad men, clerks, storekeepers, laborers, widows, and many, many farmers. There was no shortage of folks who needed a little extra money in those days, and Dimmick was happy to lend them a hand. Newspapers estimated that as many as 500 families and individuals in Clackamas, Multnomah, and Marion counties received these fat checks that Dimmick wrote, often with a little note of personal greeting. Oh, what a guy. In his dealings, Dimmick appeared to be the frankest man in the world, the Oregonian later wrote, and the Herald added, in speaking with our friend Arthur Graham yesterday, he said that Grant Dimmick was known up and down the Pacific coast, and he had the confidence of everyone. But that house of cards collapsed on May 1st, 1924. The circumstances that caused it are not entirely clear. One newspaper said a customer had threatened Dimmick over security on a loan for $4,000 that, quote, didn't look right. Another said it was that the Brookharts, farmers out of the needy area who came forward to claim the judge had handled them to the tune of about $20,000. What is clear is that on the evening of the 1st of May, Judge Dimmick told his law partners that he was taking a trip to Eastern Oregon to investigate some possible investment opportunities. He went home, packed a bag, and told his wife he was making a, quote, brief business trip. He boarded the 5:30 p.m. interurban train at Oregon City bound for Portland. He carried with him a single tan leather bag which held the life savings of every customer he had ever swindled. Because, of course, it was all a scam. The security notes were worthless. They were forgeries. The mortgages were even worse. In them, Dimmick had simply pulled names and addresses from out of thin air, the legitimate owners never having a clue what the judge was up to. He was a skilled counterfeiter, quote, a master worker with different pens and inks, and somewhere along the way he had managed to secure a stamp that looked very much like the one used by the county recorder. Had they been genuine, almost the entire city of Silverton would have had to pay better than 8% to get free of the blanket, the Oregonian said of the mortgages. And so it all went down the tragic line. Laborers had been bilked out of a few $100s. So had 2 youngsters who had worked in a Clackamas County logging camp and sent their savings to the Wizard of Oregon City. In speaking with Adam Knight in Canby Monday evening, Mr. Knight was simply so dumbfounded that he could not let the matter sink in, wrote the Herald. Many people in Canby have placed their confidence in Grant Dimmick and sent their small savings or accumulation to him for investment. They simply fear the worst now. A hysterical woman at the county's recorder office drew a revolver from her purse and began waving it in the face of the startled official. "That Dimmick took all I had," she cried, "and I'll find him and take all he's got." But she wouldn't. No one would ever find him. Indeed, May 1st, 1924, was the last time he was ever seen in Oregon, in the United States, or even on the continent. Exactly how great was Dimmick's embezzlement was never fully known, as not all of his victims put in claims. But their conservative estimates put the number north of $250,000, which in today's dollars would amount to well over $4 million.
The Canby Now podcast is brought to you in part by the Wild Hair Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun. Lifelong Canby residents Darren and Joan Monin founded the Wild Hare 16 years ago, and as their business has grown and expanded, they've continued to give back to the community they love. They're one of the biggest supporters of school activities, youth sports, local events, and even this podcast. They have a heart for Canby, plain and simple.
They also have some of the best food and drinks on the planet.
Did I forget to mention that?
No, it's all right. I'm going to mention it. It's no accident that residents voted them the best restaurant and best service through the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce last year. Happy hour daily from 3 to 6. Kids eat free on Mondays, live music and breakfast on the weekends. And they have great salads and other healthy options to help you keep your New Year's resolutions. Check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City or on their website, thewildharesaloon.net. The Canby Now podcast is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden, so round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. Find more of her work at olivia13.com.
The Canby Now podcast is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The Canby Now podcast is a production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.